The rain hammered against the windows of my study when my daughter's number flashed across my phone screen. 3:47 a.m. My hand was already reaching for my jacket before I answered. "Dad?" Her voice was shaking, not crying yet, but close. "I need to tell you something." I'd been a detective for 32 years before I retired. I knew that tone. Something bad was coming, and she needed me to be sitting down for it. I wasn't sitting down. I was already calculating which hospital she was calling from, whether I needed to call my lawyer, how fast I could get to Denver from my house on Lake Hartwell. "What happened, sweetheart?" "Nothing happened. I mean, something happened. Something good." She laughed, but it sounded wrong. Rehearsed. Brandon proposed. I slowly sat down. Brandon, the software entrepreneur she'd been dating for 4 months. The man I'd met exactly twice. The man who'd spent our first dinner together, asking detailed questions about my retirement portfolio and whether I planned to downsize from the lake house. "That's wonderful," I said carefully. "When did this happen?" "An hour ago. We were at his penthouse, and he just... Dad, it was perfect. He had rose petals everywhere, champagne, the whole thing." She was talking too fast now. "We want to get married soon. Really soon. Like, next month." "Next month." I looked at the photo on my desk. My wife Sarah, 6 months before the cancer took her. She'd had a gift for reading people. She would have known what to say right now. All I had was a cop's instinct telling me something wasn't right. "That's fast." "I know it seems fast, but when you know, you know. Right?" She paused. "Brandon wants to have dinner at your place this weekend. Saturday. He wants to talk to you about something." "About what?" "He'll explain." "It's a good thing, Dad. It's about the future. Our future." Another pause. "You'll be happy for us, won't you?" I looked out at the dark lake. 28 years I'd spent learning to spot lies. The emphasis on wrong words. The defensive phrasing. The need for reassurance that wasn't natural. "Of course I'm happy for you, Emma. I love you." "I love you too. See you Saturday." She hung up before I could say anything else. I sat there for a long time, watching the rain. Then I opened my laptop and typed Brandon Mitchell's name into the search bar. Just a preliminary check. Nothing invasive, just what any father would do. By sunrise, I'd found 3 red flags. By noon, I'd called my old partner Marcus at the Denver PD. By Saturday, I'd know a lot more than Brandon Mitchell wanted me to know. Saturday arrived with perfect weather. 72 degrees, clear sky, gentle breeze off the lake. I'd spent the morning preparing, though not the way Emma thought. The dining table was set. The grill was ready. And the small recording device I'd purchased was tested and positioned in the living room, perfectly legal in South Carolina's one-party consent state. They arrived at 4. Emma looked beautiful in a yellow sundress, her mother's smile, her grandmother's eyes. She hugged me tight, and for a moment I wondered if I was wrong, if I was being paranoid, if my cop brain was seeing shadows where there was only light. Then Brandon stepped out of his BMW Armani suit on a casual Saturday, Rolex that cost more than my first car. And that smile. I'd seen that smile before, on dozens of suspects who thought they were smarter than everyone else in the room. Richard. He extended his hand. His grip was firm, calculated. "Thank you for having us." "Of course. Welcome to my home." We moved inside. Emma immediately went to look at the lake, giving us a moment. Brandon's eyes were already scanning the room. The mahogany furniture my grandfather built. The collection of first edition books. The paintings Sarah had collected over 30 years. "Beautiful place," he said. "Must be worth quite a bit." "It's worth a lot to me. Been in my family for 3 generations. No, I mean market value. Lakefront property in this area. What, 2.5? 3 million? I smiled. "I don't think of it in those terms." Emma came back, slipping her hand into Brandon's. "Should we eat? I'm starving." Dinner was salmon on the cedar plank, the way Sarah used to make it. We talked about safe things. Emma's job at the marketing firm. My garden. The weather. Brandon checked his phone 4 times. Apologized each time. Explained he had a big deal closing. Then, as I was clearing the plates, he said, "Richard, I'd like to talk to you about an opportunity." I sat back down. I'm listening. Emma probably told you I run a software company. We're developing an app that's going to revolutionize mobile banking. We're in the final round of Series B funding, but we're 20,000 short. I'm offering you the chance to get in on the ground floor. 6 months from now, your investment could triple, maybe quadruple. I looked at Emma. She was watching me with an expression I'd seen before, when she was 7 and wanted a puppy, when she was 16 and wanted to borrow the car, when she was 22 and wanted to drop out of grad school to travel Europe, that same desperate hope that I'd say yes. How much are you looking for? 50,000. I know it's a lot, but this is a generational opportunity. Emma and I could use that money to really build our life together. Buy a house, start a family. The returns would set us up. $50,000. Emma's entire emergency fund I'd helped her build. I kept my face neutral. That's a significant investment. I'd need to see a prospectus. Talk to your other investors. Have my financial advisor review the terms. Brandon's smile tightened. Of course, due diligence. Smart, but we need to move fast. The round closes in 2 weeks. If you wait too long, the opportunity disappears. Then I'll make my decision in 2 weeks. Dad, Emma's voice was small. This could be really good for us. I understand, sweetheart, but I don't make $50,000 decisions lightly. Brandon stood up. Could I talk to you privately? Just for a minute. Emma started to protest, but Brandon put his hand on her shoulder. It's okay, babe. Your dad and I need to have a man-to-man conversation. We walked out to the dock. The sun was setting, painting the lake in shades of orange and gold. Brandon leaned against the railing, his back to the water, his face in shadow. I'm going to be honest with you, Richard. I need this investment. Not want. Need. Why? Because I made a promise to Emma. I told her I could give her the life she deserves. The house, the wedding she wants, the security. But I'm leveraged right now. Everything I have is tied up in the company. This investment isn't just about business. It's about proving to your daughter that I'm the man she thinks I am. It was a good speech. He'd probably practiced it. But I'd interrogated enough suspects to know when someone was selling. And if I say no, his expression changed. Just for a second. Something cold flickered behind his eyes. Then Emma would be disappointed. She'd wonder why her father doesn't support her happiness, why he doesn't trust her judgment. He paused. She might have to choose between us. There it was. Not a threat exactly, but close enough. I need to think about it, I said. Fair enough. But Richard? He stepped closer. Emma told me about your retirement account, the life insurance payout from Sarah. You're sitting on close to $800,000 in liquid assets. $50,000 is nothing to you, but to us, it's everything. He knew exactly how much money I had, which meant Emma had told him, which meant he'd asked. We went back inside. Emma was on the porch, and she brightened when she saw us. So, did you guys have a good talk? Great talk, Brandon said. He kissed her forehead. Your dad's gonna think about it. They left 30 minutes later. I stood in the driveway, watching the BMW disappear down the road. Then I went back inside and called Marcus. I need everything you can find on Brandon Lee Mitchell. Age 33, lives in Denver. Runs a software company called FinTech Solutions. This about Emma? Yeah. Give me 48 hours. I spent Sunday reviewing what I'd already found. Brandon's LinkedIn profile was impressive. Stanford graduate. Founded 3 companies. Board member of 2 charitable foundations. But when I looked deeper, things got fuzzy. The companies he'd founded, 2 were dissolved. 1 was in bankruptcy proceedings. The charities? He'd been removed from both boards last year. No public explanation. His social media showed a lifestyle that didn't match his claimed net worth. Private jets, 5-star restaurants, designer clothes. Either he was doing very well, or he was very good at faking it. Monday morning, Marcus called. You're not going to like this. I'd heard that tone before. Tell me. Brandon Mitchell filed for bankruptcy 3 years ago. Lost everything in a cryptocurrency scheme. He's rebuilt, but he's carrying massive debt. The software company is real, but it's a shell. No actual product. No real funding. He's running a classic investor scam. Take money from new investors to pay off old investors. Emma doesn't know? I doubt it. He's good at covering his tracks. But here's the interesting part. He was married before. Wife's name is Jennifer Hale. Filed for divorce 2 years ago, citing financial abuse and fraud. She testified against him in a civil suit. He settled, signed an NDA, and she moved on. Where is she now? Denver. She's a forensic accountant. I can send you her contact information if you want it. Send it. I hung up and stared at the lake. A forensic accountant who knew Brandon's history, who'd been hurt by him, who might be willing to help me protect Emma. I called Jennifer that afternoon. She answered on the second ring. This is Jennifer. Miss Hale, my name is Richard Porter. I'm calling about Brandon Mitchell. A long silence. Is someone in danger? My daughter. She's engaged to him. Another silence. Then, when can you meet? We met Tuesday, at a coffee shop in Greenville. Jennifer was 35, red hair, tired eyes. She looked like someone who'd been through a war and survived it. I can't talk about specific details, she said. NDA. But I can talk about patterns. Hypothetically. I understand. Hypothetically, if someone was engaged to Brandon Mitchell, that person should know that he targets women with successful families, women who have access to money, either their own or their father's. He's charming, he's patient, he builds trust. And then, when the time is right, he asks for an investment. It's always urgent, always time-sensitive, always a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And if they say no, then things get difficult. He might imply that the relationship depends on the investment. He might suggest that refusing means not trusting him, not supporting the relationship. He's very good at making people feel guilty. Has he done this before? I can't answer that specifically. But hypothetically, a pattern suggests repetition. I leaned forward. Can you help me? Help you how? I need evidence. Something I can show my daughter that will make her see the truth. Jennifer shook her head. I can't violate the NDA. I'd lose everything. Then, help me find evidence that isn't covered by the NDA. Public records, legal filings, financial documents. You're a forensic accountant. You know where to look. She studied me for a long moment. Then she pulled out her laptop. I didn't help you. We never had this conversation. But if someone were to look at the public bankruptcy filings for fintech solutions, they might notice some interesting patterns. And if someone were to check the Colorado Secretary of State's business database, they might find that Brandon Mitchell has registered 14 different LLCs in the past 3 years, all dissolved within months. And if someone were to look at Denver County Court records, they might find 3 separate lawsuits from former investors. She wrote down a series of case numbers and website URLs. That's all public information. Anyone could find it if they knew where to look. Thank you. Don't thank me. Just protect your daughter. He's dangerous. Not physically, but financially and emotionally. He'll drain her dry and leave her broken. She stood up. One more thing. If you do confront him, do it somewhere public. Somewhere with witnesses. He's threatened people before when they've challenged him. Over the next 3 days, I gathered everything. Bankruptcy filings showing he'd lost investor money. Court records showing lawsuits from people he'd scammed. Corporation records showing a pattern of failed businesses. Testimonials from former business partners describing his fraudulent practices. I also hired a private investigator, not Marcus, someone independent. Someone who could testify in court if needed. He followed Brandon for 2 days and came back with photos. Brandon having lunch with another woman. Brandon using a company credit card that supposedly didn't exist. Brandon meeting with known associates of financial fraud operations. On Thursday, Emma called. Dad, have you made a decision? Not yet. I'm still reviewing the information. Brandon's getting anxious. The funding round closes soon. Emma, can I ask you something? Of course. Has Brandon ever asked you for money before? A pause. Why would you ask that? Just curious. He borrowed $5,000 last month. For a business expense, he paid it back. My chest tightened. Did he? Well, he's going to. Once the funding comes through, Sweetheart, I need you to listen to me very carefully. I've been doing some research on Brandon's company, and I have concerns. Dad, don't do this. Do what? You know what? You don't approve of Brandon, so you're trying to sabotage this. Just like you did with Marcus in college. Just like you did with Tyler after graduation. Those men weren't right for you, and you know it now. And you think you know better about Brandon too? I think you should see some information before you make a permanent decision. I don't want to see your information. I love him, Dad. Why can't you just be happy for me? Because I love you more than I care about being right. She hung up. I sat there holding the phone, feeling like I'd just failed the most important test of my life. But I couldn't stop now. Not when I knew what Brandon really was. Friday afternoon, Brandon called me directly. Richard, we need to talk. Emma told me you have concerns. I do. Then let's discuss them, man to man. I'm hosting a Memorial Day party at the Denver Botanical Gardens on Monday. It's a company event, investors and partners, 200 people. Come as my guest. See the business in action. Meet the team. I think it'll put your mind at ease. A public place, witnesses. Exactly what Jennifer had warned me about, but also an opportunity. What time? 3 p.m. Bring Emma. Make a weekend of it. I agreed. Then I called Jennifer. He's invited me to a party. Memorial Day. Botanical Gardens. He's going to put on a show, make everything look legitimate. Probably, that's his pattern. Big events, impressive venues, lots of witnesses to his success. Will you be there? Why would I be there? Because I'm inviting you. As my guest. He doesn't have an NDA that prevents you from attending a public event. She laughed. It wasn't a happy sound. You want me to confront him? I want you to stand there, as a reminder of what he is. And if the opportunity presents itself, I want you to tell the truth. That's dangerous. I know. But my daughter is worth the risk. A long silence. Then, I'll be there. I drove to Denver on Sunday, checked into a hotel, and spent the evening reviewing my evidence one more time. Emma called twice. I didn't answer. She texted, Dad, please don't ruin this. I texted back, I love you. See you tomorrow. Monday was perfect weather again. 78 degrees, clear sky. The kind of day meant for celebrations. I arrived at the Botanical Gardens at 2:30, wearing my good suit, carrying a leather folder with all my evidence. Jennifer was already there, standing near the entrance. She looked nervous, but determined. Last chance to back out, I said. No. Someone should have stopped him years ago. Maybe I can save your daughter from what I went through. The party was impressive. String quartet, premium bar, catered food, 200 people in business attire, mingling on the lawn. A banner read, FinTech Solutions, revolutionizing mobile banking. Brandon spotted me immediately. He was wearing a white suit, looking like he owned the world. Emma was on his arm, looking beautiful and uncomfortable. Richard, you made it. He embraced me like we were old friends. Emma, look who's here. Emma's smile was forced. Hi, Dad. Sweetheart. Brandon steered us toward the bar. Let me introduce you to some people. My investors, my partners. You'll see this is the real deal. For the next hour, I played along. I met the investors, men and women, who spoke in vague terms about mobile banking and disruption. I met the partners, consultants, who seemed confused about what exactly the company did. I met the board members, people who'd clearly been paid to show up and look important. And I watched Emma, watched her smile fade, watched her start to see what I was seeing, the holes in the story, the way Brandon's answers didn't quite match up, the way people avoided specific questions. At 4:30, Brandon clinked his glass. Everyone, can I have your attention? I want to thank you all for being here today. This is a celebration of what we've built together. But more importantly, it's a celebration of what's coming next. He pulled Emma close. This woman right here is going to be my wife, and her father, Richard Porter, is considering becoming one of our major investors. Richard, would you like to say a few words? Every eye turned to me. This was it. The moment Brandon had orchestrated. Public pressure, social proof. Make me look like the bad guy if I refused. I stood up. Actually, I would like to say something. Emma's face went pale. Brandon's smile widened. He thought he'd won. I've spent the past week researching fintech solutions, and I've discovered some interesting things. I opened my folder. According to Colorado bankruptcy filings, this company was dissolved in 2022 due to insolvency. According to the Secretary of State, Brandon Mitchell has registered 14 different business entities in 3 years, all dissolved. According to Denver County Court, there are 3 active lawsuits from former investors claiming fraud. The crowd went quiet. Brandon's smile froze. "Those are lies," he said. "Vindictive competitors trying to damage my reputation. These are public records. Anyone can verify them. I pulled out more papers. I also have statements from former business partners describing a pattern of investment scams, taking money from new investors to pay back old investors. Classic Ponzi scheme structure." "Dad, stop," Emma said. Her voice was shaking. "I can't stop, sweetheart, because I love you too much to watch you walk into this." Brandon's face was red now. "You're trying to sabotage this because you can't stand to see Emma happy with someone else. You're a controlling, bitter old man who can't let go of his daughter. Maybe. Or maybe I'm a father who knows a con artist when he sees one." "Get out," Brandon said. "Get out of my event. It's not your event. You didn't pay for any of this. I checked with the venue. The deposit was paid by someone named Jennifer Hale, registered under a company account that doesn't exist. You're using other people's money to create an illusion of success." Brandon looked like he'd been punched. "How did you—" Jennifer stepped forward from the crowd. "Hello, Brandon." The color drained from his face. "What are you doing here?" "Richard invited me as his guest, which means I'm not violating our NDA. I'm simply attending a public event. You can't talk about—" "I'm not talking about anything specific, but Richard has done his own research, public research, and I'm here to confirm that his concerns are valid." Emma was looking between us, her face crumbling. "Who is this?" "This is Jennifer Hale," I said gently. "Brandon's ex-wife. The woman he financially abused. The woman who testified against him in court. The woman he made sign an NDA to hide the truth." "Emma," Jennifer said, her voice soft, "I can't tell you specific details, but I can tell you to protect yourself. Don't invest your money. Don't give him access to your accounts. And don't marry him until you verify everything he's told you." Emma turned to Brandon. "Tell me this isn't true." "Baby, they're lying. They're trying to—" "Don't call me baby." Her voice was cold now. "Tell me the truth. Right now. Is any of this real?" Brandon looked around at the 200 witnesses, at the investors who were starting to back away, at the dream collapsing in real time. "It's real. It's just complicated. The business is in a transition phase. I needed capital to bridge the gap. Your father's investment would have solved everything." "You were using me," Emma said, "to get to my father's money." "No. I love you. I swear." "How much did I give you?" Her voice was rising. "The 5,000 last month. The 3,000 before that. The 700 for your car repair." "How much, Brandon?" "That's different. That was—" "How much did you take from me?" His face crumpled. 14,000. But I was going to pay you back. Once the business— Emma slapped him. Hard. The sound echoed across the garden. "We're done," she said. Then she turned to me, tears streaming down her face. "Can we go home, Dad?" I put my arm around her. "Yeah, sweetheart, we can go home." As we walked away, I heard the crowd start to murmur. Heard someone say, "Is this whole thing a scam?" Heard Brandon trying to explain, to salvage, to spin. But I didn't look back. I just held my daughter while she cried. We drove back to South Carolina in silence. Emma stared out the window for 5 hours straight, not speaking. When we finally pulled into the lake house driveway, the sun was setting again. "I'm so stupid," she said finally. "You're not stupid. You're trusting. That's a good quality. He just used it against you. You tried to warn me. You weren't ready to hear it." She looked at me, her eyes red. "How did you know?" "Because I've been doing this for 32 years, and because I'm your father. It's my job to see the danger you can't see yet. I yelled at you. I said horrible things. You were in love, or you thought you were. Either way, I understood." She started crying again. I held her until she stopped. The next week was rough. Emma took time off work. She stayed at the lake house, sleeping in her old room, eating my cooking, slowly starting to heal. We didn't talk about Brandon much. We just existed together, father and daughter, the way it used to be. On Friday, Jennifer called. I wanted to check on Emma. How is she? She's okay, getting better. Good. Tell her. Tell her it gets easier. The embarrassment, the shame, the feeling like you should have known, it fades. Eventually you realize you're not stupid. You're just human. Thank you for what you did. Thank you for giving me the chance to stop him. The party collapsed after you left. Every investor demanded their money back. Several people filed police reports. Brandon's facing fraud charges. Good. Richard? I know this is probably weird timing, but would you like to have coffee sometime? Not about Brandon, just coffee. I looked out at the lake, surprised by the flutter in my chest. I'd like that. Great, I'll call you. 3 months later, Emma moved back to her apartment in Denver. She was stronger now, wiser, more careful, but not broken. 6 months later, Jennifer and I were dating. It started as coffee, turned into dinner, became something more. Emma thought it was hilarious and beautiful in equal measure. You're dating his ex-wife? She said, laughing. That's the most petty revenge ever. It's not revenge, I said. It's justice. And maybe a little bit of karma. A year later, I asked Jennifer to move in with me. She said yes. We split our time between Denver and the lake house, building a life that neither of us expected, but both of us needed. Emma came to visit one weekend, bringing her new boyfriend, a teacher. Quiet, kind, honest. She'd learned her lessons. Dad, she said as we sat on the dock watching the sunset, I never thanked you properly for saving me. You don't need to thank me. That's what fathers do. But you risked everything. I could have hated you forever. Then I would have lived with your hate. As long as you were safe. She leaned her head on my shoulder. I'm glad I didn't have to. Me too, sweetheart. Me too. Jennifer came out with lemonade, sat down beside me, took my hand. Emma smiled at us, content. And I thought about Brandon Mitchell, wherever he was, whatever happened to him. I hoped he'd learned something. I hoped he'd changed. But mostly, I hoped he understood that when you threaten someone's child, you're not just fighting that person. You're fighting a father's love. And that's a battle you'll never win. The lake was calm that evening. The stars came out one by one. And for the first time in 2 years, everything felt right.